if it hasn't been developed already between the two parties. We saw that in the last two by-elections. Right? So my view is that the Liberal Democrats are not going to be honest brokers in this campaign, because they don't want to fight this constituency. In Ilford North, the guy who they've announced to be their candidate lives in Southampton, over 100 miles, 150 miles away. He's got a full-time job. Do you get what I'm saying here? It's not a concern for them because Ilford North is not a target seat for them, right? And as for the Green Party, they're not going to put their resources into a seat like this. The Green Party are fighting 4 seats across the country, and they're really fighting for their lives in Brighton Pavilion. In Brighton Pavilion, they've got their single MP, Caroline Lucas. She's actually not a bad MP, by the way, Caroline Lucas. But Caroline Lucas is fighting for her life against a Labour Party in her constituency. They're going to be throwing all of their resources into those. They're not going to provide any resources for this constituency. But I suppose there's a bigger question for us. Why do we feel so disabled, so inferior, that we think we can't do it? With the wider community, I'm not saying it should be an exclusive Muslim thing, but why do we think we can't do it? You showed, back in the day of George Galloway, it's debatable whether he did anything productive or constructive for this constituency. I'm going to leave that part there for a while. But you showed that you could do it. You could galvanise people, right? And even if, for argument's sake, one last point before I end, even if you think, for argument's sake, you can't do it in one election, are you not going to build an infrastructure in this area? You're going to learn how to knock on doors. You're going to learn how to build canvassing teams. You're going to learn how to interrogate data. You're going to learn what it means to bank your vote. You're going to learn all of these things, right? These are important strategic qualities that are required for any community that really is serious about making a political difference. So we do have the numbers. We do have the potential. You know, in Ilford North, when we came together as a community, we got people together, and you know the types of people who have come together. You've got civil servants. Okay, civil servants have got a bit of a, they can't openly canvass, so it's a different debate. But you've got IT, you've got data professionals, you've got, it's a very ABC1 area. For any of you who know about your constituencies, Ilford North is quite middle class. Right? They don't have a Waitrose yet. But it's pretty middle class, right? So they've got that. You guys have got that. I see it whenever I go to East London Mosque and I speak to people. You have got talent in this area. Why can't we use that talent for a productive end? That's just it's a no-brainer to me. It just seems so obvious that our weight as a community. One last thing I'm going to say. So some people have asked me the question, well, where is that going to go? You're going to further marginalise yourself if you desert the Labour Party, right? It's like we've got this comfort blanket that we call the Labour Party. The blanket is rotting away. It's rotten, right? But we still feel we need that blanket to go to sleep at night because it's the only thing we have. I feel that sometimes, right? I asked Peter Osborne this question when I interviewed him. I didn't know what his answer would be, actually. It was 50-50. I asked him, look, is it going to marginalise us more if we do what they're doing in Ilford North and putting forward an independent candidate? And his point was very clear. He said, look, the Labour Party has marginalised the Muslim community for too long. Haven't they? Do you think Rushnara cares at all about the sentiments of the Muslim voter? Not at all. She's got a plumb position that is going to be given to her by, and in fact, I will bet my bottom dollar, I'm not a betting man, it's haram by the way, but I will bet my bottom dollar that when they form a government in the next election, Rushnara is going to get a good post. She traded with the Whigs. And so in my mind, we can do it, and inshallah ta'ala we will do it. Sorry, let me do it.
And Shabana as well.
Yes. Shabana Mahmood is the second most influential Labour person in the parliamentary party. She's in charge of she is the director of policy making for the 2024 election. She has got the ear of Keir Starmer. I wouldn't be surprised if they talk every day, right? She, by the way, historically has been very positive on Gaza, on Palestine. That has all gone out within the
Thank you very much. Thank you. Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jalal, for the forensic analysis of some of the voting data. I don't want to add anything more, but it would be amiss if I don't tell you, when I stood in 2010 election, and I still remember the vivid memory of trying to bring different candidates together and say, we're just wasting our time. Why don't we, one of us stand down in favor of the other? So here is the calculation. I got 11,800 votes in that election, 2010. Ajmal Mia from Respect Party got just over 8,000 votes. That takes both of our votes together to 20,000. Zakir Khan took 5,000 votes for Conservative Party. That takes our votes to 25,000 votes. Roshnara won that seat at that 2010 election with 22,000 votes. Now I just want you to think about it. 22,000 votes Roshnara took. The three of us, not only did we take our votes, but we grew up together. We used to go to the same youth club together. We went to the same mosque together. I've known Abdul for, I've known Zakir for, Zakir's mother voted for me. She called me up and she said to me, son, I've tried to persuade Zakir to stand down, but he's not going to listen. So I'm voting for you. That's how terrible our disunity was in 2010 election. And it was really sad because I was prepared to stand down. I made an offer. I said to all the others, put your numbers and tell me you can win it, and I'll stand down. And I told them, if you stand down, I can win it. Because they say, wind will be on my sail, and when people see that these three candidates have stood down for one, there'll be a massive unity amongst the voters. So I really resonated with Muhammad Jalal's analysis. I was sitting there thinking, my God, if only we thought like this then. But I think past is past now. Let's move on. It's maybe time now we found one candidate group and found all of us coming together, whoever the candidate is. The objective is to teach Labour Party a decisive lesson that you can't take our votes and our community for granted. We will choose our parliamentarian for the future, and it will be one who represents us. I had a meeting with David Lamb in one of the mosques where I lead prayers. He had the audacity to demand a meeting with us. And I said to him, David, why did you lie when you talked about babies being raped and being beheaded? Why did you lie? Because I didn't say that. Somebody doctored my video. I said, David, I'm not that stupid. Then I said to him, why did you do that? He goes to me, Ajmal, you don't understand. I want to be the next foreign secretary. And I'm not going to sacrifice my career for you. And I said to him, you're not going to sacrifice your career to save some lives in Pakistan? You're going to be prepared to say anything you like and lie? And then he said to me, Ajmal, you don't understand, I'm a black man. This country has never seen a black man as a foreign minister. And I want to be the best diplomat in this country. These are his words. And I said to him, David Lammy, you're supposed to be heir to the great Barney, what's his first name? Barney Grant, the great Barney Grant, the giant of a figure who stood for social justice, who stood for equality for people. He fought for his people. He inherited his seat, and you're disgracing his name and our name by sacrificing the lives of those Palestinians because you want to be the next foreign secretary. I was this close to saying, David, just to give you a hell of a time, I'm going to stand against you. I was this close to saying that, but I thought I was in a mosque, I should behave. And I'm also the Imam, so I have to be in good times. So ladies and gentlemen, amazing analysis. Think about what we can do with our numbers. I know Hassan is going to enlighten us a bit more, inshallah. Hassan here His name is Hassan Haq, as you know, local resident and activist. Hassan will talk about how to get involved with our activities, and that is Palestinian Information Center for some of the campaigns we have planned. We'll tell you why and how we can come together and make this a key election issue for the next election. Let Hamlet speak again. We kicked out Ula King when she said, vote me out, when she said this, when she was the MP. And the people of Hamlets voted her out. And let's again do the same with Rushnara. She said, I will abstain and I will not represent the interest of the local people. Let's see how we can use this. An amazing coming together of minds and hearts for the freedom of the people who have been dispossessed for 75 years. Let Hamlet speak. Come on, Hassan. Give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, assalamu alaikum everyone. My ask here is very simple. When we had a gathering, a social gathering, I think it was October 8th or 9th, and we were saying that we need to, there's a whole generation of people who never campaigned, especially in Hamlets. We've got a very large young population. We've never really got involved. We weren't there during the 90s Iraq War, when we had a lot of organisation under Stop the War. And when we said we need to organise, have public discussion, have events, this is before the first march was even announced on Saturday night. And we tried to book a venue as individuals, not as an organisation. Mosques didn't want to risk having an event. The Labour Party didn't want to share platforms in terms of discussing how everyone should think about what's happening in the Israeli war. We even contacted one of the churches that we used to use for meetings, and they were like, we're not sure whether it will meet our rules in terms of how we work, what kind of speeches and activities we're involved in. Everybody has regulation around the charity position and politics and this and that. So we thought, we need to have a platform to organize, which is not party political. And so that's what we did on the first event. We launched that, people donated money, we've secured a donation of an office, which is quite, I think the workshop room is about this size of my office, and it's near Woodman Market. It's disused space, it belongs to someone, and we said, well, I'll donate a year of rent, which is an amazing gift, and we don't want to then keep it empty. And what we want to do is, we want to meet up regularly, say fortnightly, and we want to use you to say, I'm good at this, I'm going to train people like that. I'm good at this, I'm going to train people like that. A lot of those skills will be useful when we organize politics. There's a whole wider discussion that will happen outside of us in terms of the Labour Party's position, the candidates who stand, and all the candidates. But we will have the skills as a community. We'll get to know each other as a community. And so what my ask is join our WhatsApp group if you haven't already. Before you leave, have a chat with me. And we're going to try to use the Christmas period to get the office up and running, since some of us are not going to go on holiday. And really we want to encourage you, if you know your neighbours and friends who've got very particular skills or experiences, to get them over to our coffee morning so we get to know. I don't think we can expect for people to work together without getting to know each other. One of the things, I've been in the Labour Party as just a normal member, and one of the things that political parties expect is, because you're a member, they will lead, you will follow. I don't want to build an organisation that does that. I want to build an organisation where people contribute their skills, their ideas. And I don't think anybody very few people in Town Hamlets will disagree with supporting the self-determination of the Palestinians. Very few. I'd be really surprised if I came across someone who said, no, the Palestinians don't exist as a people and they don't deserve self-determination. How that self-determination then expresses itself in Palestine, in Israel, that's really for the Palestinians to work out. Whether it's one state, two state, some other configuration or federation, I don't think we, this far away, can decide that or campaign for a particular. But we believe they need to have self-determination, and we believe that can only happen in a state where there's peace. You cannot discuss the long-term future while there are bombs flying. And that's what we want to organize around. And unfortunately, unlike the 90s, in the 90s there were still platforms. Even political parties allowed these discussions. But now, those discussions aren't even allowed. And you know, try in your local WhatsApp groups of some sort, let's say Labour one or a Bain Forum one, bring it up and people will say, look, it's not proper what you just said, we're going to buy you from this WhatsApp group, that was an inappropriate statement to make, blah, blah, blah. So really, we want to make a platform, we want to organize, and please speak to me before you go. It might be that you have a brilliant idea, like this friend is very good at this, and we can get to meet if we have a regular fortnightly coffee moment. That's the first ask. So think about it, get involved, do come and ask, and please join the WhatsApp group. Thank you.
We haven't finished yet, so don't go anywhere. Hassan, do you have the WhatsApp group? Can you upload, can you get a QR code on your phone? And then share it with people on their way out. All they have to do is put their scanner on and they join the group. It's an open group in which we could join, share our ideas and thoughts. I'm just looking at a video on my phone. It's a little boy who's holding his father's body, who's passed away. And he says, let me kiss my dad for the last time. I had a boy who was 15. If he had to make that choice, I don't know if I'm dead. I'm dead, but what could my boy do? Palestinians are going through this. That's the emotional part. 20,000 plus, 70% of them are children have been killed. And women, of course, if we call Hamas the perpetrators of activities that are found as terrorist by Israel and other governments, killing 20,000 innocent people, majority of women and children. That's not terrorism, what is? But we're not here to discuss that today. We're here to ask you, what can we do? What would you like to do? So, any questions you have, I'm going to ask you to come over to the stage. Jalal, if you don't mind joining me here. We will not take any questions specifically to do with campaigns and with what he has said over here, and then or any other thoughts you have. So I'm going to manage the questions, but please make sure the questions are focused. And you can ask me, Hassan, or Jalal, or Jonathan. Jonathan, come over. Don't be so far away. We're all here to try and see if we can get some questions. So I saw, first hand was the lady in the middle, then yourself, and the gentleman with the Batman face. I like that. Palestinian Batman. Go for it.
I just had a couple of reflections really.
Yes, please.
So the first one is around electoral voting. So I understand there's a lot of appetite to get an independent candidate in, but you need to unify around them. And it makes sense in the context of wanting to punish Labour, but I really do think in the long term, as Mohammed said, you can't keep voting Labour. It's a comfort blanket that punishes us over and over again. I really don't think the Labour Party is a natural home of this constituency. The Labour Party's foreign policy is basically American supremacy, and you can see that in the way that America dominates and colonises so many countries across the world. And the Labour Party, as you can see from Keir Starmer, is really exposed to this order of things. They're very focused on Washington wants us to vote for. So I think the future is green. It's the only alternative party that's really been consistent right from the start. The Green Party from the very beginning called for a ceasefire. And obviously I'm very biased because I'm a Green Party member, but I went green because I really had to sit down and rethink to myself, like, I know the Labour Party is not the right party for me after what they did to Jeremy Corbyn, but which party is the right party for me? And after having looked at everything, it is the Green Party. On all counts, it's the most progressive party out there. I won't say any more. I am going to be really embarrassing and say that I just happened to have a coffee with the Green MP candidate who happens to be sitting right next to me. So she might want to say something afterwards. But that's just my reflection on sort of the politics for this constituency in the future. Like, we can't go back to Labour. If we do that, I think we're just punishing ourselves. The second thing I just want to mention, because I spoke to the staff previously about it, which is what can we do locally. One of the things that I've been personally doing is, it's very ambitious, but it's basically trying to group and organise a legal team to try and take the government into court to get a judicial review against the government. So no one here is above the law, not even the government is above the law. We know there's going to be a judicial review that's instigated by a legal action network, taking the government to court to say the government providing arms support to Israel is illegal. So that's in train, that's in motion. But this government is already providing logistical and intelligence support to Israel, which itself is helping enable the genocide that we see in Gaza. So building a legal team, I've spoken to organisations like Cage, for example, who are helping me try and find for barristers, and other networks as well, trying to help me field lawyers. So if anyone has any contacts or wants to generally be interested, please come to me, and I'm very happy to do it.
Thank you. Without sounding unfair, but I have got to be procedurally correct. If now other members of other parties stood up and started promoting their party, then it would be unfair. So may I request, for the sake of neutrality of this particular campaign, we refrain from mentioning party promotion narratives. You can condemn a party for its failure, no problem about it. This is what we've done throughout, and that's a fact. But I would want to ask you all to refrain from inviting people to vote or join a party or that party is the solution. I think we're looking at a bigger picture now. But since you've raised it, and I'm going to ask Dr. Jalal to reflect on it, if the community in Bethel Green and Burwell chose a candidate that wasn't Green, would Green stand down and support the one candidate that the community had supported? That's a rhetorical question. Obviously, you have every right to answer it, but I'm going to put it over to Jalal because that's at the back of what you have said as to how we can galvanize. That's more of a question for myself.
I mean, I think what I said about the Green Party probably stands, although I would like to speak to you after today to discuss that. I think there's a lot of overlap, for sure, between what the Muslim community believes in and a lot of the policy, not all of the policies, but a lot of the policy of the Greens. In particular, our criticism of capitalism. I think most Muslims have got a visceral dislike for consumerism and this rabid sort of waste culture, which really is destroying our world. And whoever we choose has to make that as part of the policy platform, no doubt about it. So I think there really is an overlap there. But I don't want to, as I said, I think I've met Caroline Lucas, and I think she's a thoroughly decent MP for Brighton Pavilion. I just feel that, the Green Party got 2,500 votes in the last election here. That is negligible in inverted commas when it comes to sort of the politics. It's, in effect, everyone's starting from a zero position. And in my mind, I think that this community deserves a little bit more independence and a little bit more autonomy. But that discussion needs to be had within the community. It's not my job to say that. Maybe just I know Ajmal said not to endorse a party position, but I'm going to break that and say, really, the Munster Raising Looney Party for me was terrific in many ways. The two manifesto promises they had, and I think it was back in 2010, which to today I think wonderful promises. That they wanted to make it mandatory that all socks would be sold in pairs of 3, and also they wanted to mint a 99p coin. I think that's much more useful than what we've seen from the Conservative Party in the last 13 years. It would have been a better world, I suspect, with them in charge, but my apologies.
Thank you. I like that. Monster Party. I was standing on the stage and the number was announced. I remember it. Anyway, I know there was your hand second and there was a hand in the back somewhere. Gentleman with the mask. Yes, go ahead, sister.
I just would like to know, the data
Yes.
you were seeing, is that
Accurate. It is, yes. Yeah, no, yeah, it's completely accurate data, yeah. So the data we have got is from the 2021 census. It's the latest data regarding the Muslim community. By the way, we've got very granular data. So we know where the community, what the denominations are within each ward, within, for example, this constituency. That data that I showed you is with the new constituency boundaries mapped. So if you know, Bow has now been taken away from this constituency, and a new constituency, Stratford and Bow, I think it's called, has been established, right? So some wards have been taken away and some wards have been added. So that's the most latest data. That figure I gave you of the Muslim vote, the electorate, is what it is going to be constituted in the next election. We've got ward data, we have got ethnicity data, we've got gender data, we've got as I said, religious data in each of the wards. So data is going to be one of the most fundamental, I think, drivers of this next election, and we need to be armed with the most. So we have done a lot of the work in that. Yes.
Thank you. And just to add to that, you'll be pleased to know that Jalal, which used to belong to the neighbouring constituency, what's the neighbouring constituency called? The Lighthouse, Popular Lighthouse. It has been taken out of that. It has been added to the new constituency of the old Bethnal Green and Bow, and Bow East and Bow West has been lost to the Popular Lighthouse constituency, and also Hamlets and Newham are going to share one MP between the two constituencies. Half of it will be within Hamlets and the other half will be covering Stratford and that particular area. So it will be an interesting development. You have Bethnal Green and Bow, or Bethnal Green and what's the name?
Stepney.
Bethnal Green and Stepney would have all the way from Spitalfield to Shadwell, that's north to south, and east would be Whitechapel all the way to Bethnal Green itself, and St Dunstan as the border, within which the Muslim vote proportion is a lot higher than it has ever been before, by the fact that Shadwell has been added, and by the fact that West and East Bow has been taken out. That takes away a lot of traditional die-hard Labour voters from West and East. Anyway, data is very important, and please do follow forensically. Your second question.
the second thing I wanted to say was the independence to be seeked out, potentially more of the independence. I'm in favour of that.
Thank
very
you.
much so.
Endorsing independence. Thank you very much. I'm going to go to the back. Gentleman with the Palestinian Batman face. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but you probably saw on last Friday outside the ELM in the Digivan, I was in the Digivan, and we're going to take Labour down in Tahan. Labour don't understand that. But what I would like to say, do you have a candidate in mind that is actually going to speak for the people and the residents of Tahan, or what constituency they're raising up for?
I'm going to ask Jonathan to answer that because you're local.
Labour is going down no matter what. If you have to get the Digivan out again, I'm going to come out and bring out the Digivan.
We'll ask him.
It's a van that's planted in LED panels on all sides and can be used for advertising. And our friend over here has been involved in setting it up recently. Yeah, brilliant.
And plan to come back out again. We're going to hold a meeting. How are we going to do it effectively? So, inshallah.
So that's a resource.
It's a resource. Very powerful way from Gotham.
A question about local candidates. There's no one there are no names coming forward at the moment. I mean, there was some talk about the lawyer for, my name's going to be very big, the ISIS bride, so a lawyer.
That's neat.
Yeah, there's some talk about him possibly coming forward. No, nothing definite. Can I just ask about this independent versus
Party.
Green Party, or not a party? Yeah. If we go rewind back to, I voted for Respect when Jalal thing, and I was thoroughly disappointed with George Jalal. I'm almost embarrassed to say I voted for Respect, actually, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to see a repeat of that. So if it's going to be, well, two things. If it's going to be independent, it needs to be someone who's really going to be here for the people at our Hamlets. But the other question is about independent versus party, because you talked about the fact that if we go through a party, we have a party structure at hand, a machine that we can use. And okay, Greens are not, we'll have limited resources and we'll have to focus on different places, but the benefit of going with a party is that you do have some kind of basis of the machine. I'm not taking sides on this. I'm not saying whether it's best to go for a party or not, but I just wondered what you thought of that as a choice.
No, I think, on balance, the party machinery that smaller parties have to offer our constituencies are actually very minimal. In reality, the resources are going to be relied. That's the bottom line. And I think most third parties recognise that. The resources are going to be Hassan, it's going to be Jonathan, it's going to be Ajmal. Because, as I said with the Green Party, and I think it is true, they're fighting for 4 seats, and that's their target seat. If they can double their MP rate, if they can get 2 MPs, that would be an amazing thing for the Green Party this next election. Bethnal Green and Stepney is not a target seat for them. It's way down the list. It's too safe a seat for them to deploy any of their organisational capabilities. And what I mean by that is not just people, it's data, it's the campaign managers, all of those resources are just not going to be deployed in this constituency. It's one of the safest seats in the country. So I personally believe that you have to build that infrastructure for the long term yourself here. That's my personal view. Yeah.
And just to give you an insight about what I did when I stood as the Lib Dem candidate in 2010, Lib Dem said to me, well, if you were really good to try. But it was an uphill battle for me to even get the nomination from the Lib Dems. You don't know how many hurdles I had to go through. I had to go through hell and back. I don't know why. I still don't understand why parties put individuals put people like me through hell just to get their nomination. And when I got the nomination, they said, we're not going to back you because it's not a target. I said, okay. And then I got them 11,800 votes. And even Lib Dem said, that's not Lib Dem vote, that's your vote. 4 pairs of shoes, 4 or 5 pairs of jeans, 18 months of knocking on doors, £25,000 spent, and 3 stones lost in weight gave me 11,800 votes. 5 volunteers. It's not. You just have to be realistic about prospect of winning an election. It doesn't matter which party you come from. If the seat isn't a target seat, no party will put any resources to it. That's the basic bottom line. And the £36,000 was my entire election expense, as opposed to £250,000 from the Shroud. She spent £60,000-70,000 prior to that. Young Foundation spent hundreds of thousands in her salary. She was the Ullah King's direct secretary. She was already been groomed to be the next MP. I came in from nowhere. Sadly, I was probably instrumental in destroying Respect's prospect, if ever, in this particular borough, because George Galloway gave his baton to Abdul, and Abdul didn't go anywhere near. He became firm. But the reason I'm saying this to you is because it's not as easy and as simple as you think. No national party will throw their resources at a seat that is not safe. If 44,000 votes are for Rushnawa, Labour knows that they are safe. Anyone wanting to take a pot shot at Rushdara's election outcome will have to really put all their eggs in one basket. One candidate.
Yes.
One candidate. And this will have to go to every party. If Green, if the Dems, if Conservatives really care about the voices of local people, then they will have to say, okay, you know what? We will put a candidate, but we'll scale down our election campaign to a nominal level, but we will support that one candidate to dislodge this one person that will go on. That's how strategic you have to be. If you can't be like that, then don't waste your time. And don't waste the time of any candidate. It's a hell of a task. I didn't see my family for 6 months. I lived on 3 hours sleep. 3 hours sleep. It's not an easy thing to do. You have to be really made of stamina like nobody. Because I wanted to win the seat. I could have been a paper candidate. And I could have a plaque on my house, and like in Bangladesh, some of the previous candidates had put up former candidate for the, you do all sorts of fancy things for yourself. I wanted to win the seat, so I gave my time. Full time I gave. More than full time I gave. 77,000 houses I knocked down. 3 times. It's not an easy job. I don't want to discourage you, but I want to put reality into perspective. And it is a very highly densely populated area with high-rise flats, and it is not easy. But young man over there first. Go ahead. This brother must have a name. I just want to call you back.
Everyone knows me as No Face.
No problem. Go ahead.
It's famous.
Going forward, the main thing is you have to select a candidate. Okay? You select a candidate and you get everybody meeting. And you have a focus where everybody feels this is the way forward. You don't have to knock on everybody. Because if you have a consensus, as we do that, and we kill that. Yeah? So similar like you have a momentum created where people feel, you know what? This is the way it's going to go, and this is how I'm going to do it. So you have to create that interest. And then focus on one candidate rather than this 5% of I'm stepping down. You go. Because there's more chance of you getting in. So having that selected, we have, like you know, someone said about 13 institutions that focusing. So you have to do like that. You have to focus on which member or which person is likely to win. And then every one of the resources has to be put in. Instead of going from one place to another and we're wasting our time. So we can't waste our time.
Good point raised. Brother's hand over there. Thank you. Fantastic point. I would not respond to that because it's a good point. Let's come back to you again. But yeah, yes, go ahead. To answer that question, the last part, yes, they don't think it's a threat. They don't think Bushara is under any trouble whatsoever. They would be, yeah, we would have to pass it on. So the few things you can see from her activities she has not given a single audience to anyone who has gone to her with the concerns of Palestine. She has just completely blanked you. She has not said anything powerful enough to represent a large Muslim constituency that she represents. People have done everything, they've even gone to her office and she's not there. So it's important for you to note, like you said, that really they don't care because it's a very safe seat. But they will care when, 2017 when I tried to stand again, I realized Rushnara won that seat with a huge vote surge because of Jeremy Corbyn being that moving to town. Every polling station I was standing at,
10,000 additional votes.
and young boys and girls who I'd never seen voting before, saying, Ajmal, sorry, I can't vote for you, I'm going to vote for Corbyn. And I'm just saying, Corbyn isn't standing here. But it doesn't matter, I'm going to vote for Corbyn. So the mantra was sold, save Corbyn, vote Rushnara. That's what the mantra was. And Rushnara's vote surge was tremendous. Now, this is important for you to know that this community has got a habit of falling for mantras like that. They fell for the mantra of Jalal. They voted for him blindly, which is not a bad thing in my view, to kick Ulaki out strategically. Whether that could have been a different candidate, I don't know, but they did unite. When we unite as a community, we can change. So if we could, like you said, create a mantra that works for all of us, brings us all together on one single platform. Rushnara or Keir Starmer, it doesn't matter. It's possible to do. But I'm going to ask Jalal if he has got anything to add, but your hand has gone up. Do you want to hear the response first? Oh, go on. Enjoy.
Question for
Go.
I think it's important for the community to realise that just 2 years ago, this hard fighting and Labour underestimated they felt that they
were they counted on their 44,000 votes from the year before the election.
And the main focus of the counter narrative was that the law, it's so kind of personal and tangible that Labour councillors were speaking here behind the front door about losing the seat. And right now it's still the same thing about the power. So on the grassroots level, their candidates know that rather continue with their seats to become unfair in the next election. Now that Labour went back, certainly, and this comes back to the record that it took 15,000 people that for the Muslim community and Hamlets to realize this is why I think about candidates that for several candidates that
I'm going to give it to Jonathan. Reflection on the
So
reason why.
you asked about George Galloway, why he wasn't a good result in practice. But I would say the same about Rushnara. For me, the job of our MP is to represent us, the community here in Parliament, which sounds like a very simple thing, but George Galloway wasn't in Parliament and he wasn't here. Rushnara is only in Parliament and is never here. And it's a deep, fails us for that reason. In the last election, she was so secure that Labour Party membership locally were all instructed to go somewhere else, anywhere else. There was no work needed to be done here at all, which is a bit shameful actually that an MP can feel that they don't need to lift a finger. My first experience with Rashidara Ali was when I had a local issue. I was getting involved in campaigns against drug dealing and drug addiction and related crime and SB, and we tried to get meetings with Rashidara Ali, and the only way we could get a meeting with her was to shame her publicly on Twitter. And then when I finally did get a meeting with her, she got very, very cross and said, "It is not my job to act as a complaints department for a failing council." And actually that prompted me to, I probably should say this, but that actually prompted me to join Labour with the state aid trying to unseat or get rid of Rashidara from the inside, because getting rid of her from the outside does seem like a high note, a really high note of decline. I suppose that's what we're talking about now.
Thank you. Very, very insightful. Thank you again for sharing the reasons why Lord Galloway was, for you, an embarrassment eventually. Your hand went up. I'm aware that our Imam from the very centre that we're using, Shaykh Kazi Ashiq is here. He's going to say a few words at the end, so don't go anywhere. I mean, you as well as the audience. Yes, then, guys.
First one is, we know what we still got to do, and should be aware that Palestine shouldn't be the basis of the country. There are a lot of these countries going to this that we know to support the atrocities of Assad, they deny the genocide, and they deny these other things. Start to evaluate things like the Iraq, and I think it's important to get the community to know these people like Galloway, William, stop the work that we should go to, but they're not our allies, and that we should find someone to represent us. And the second point is that the idea that mosques are a political institution to see that we need to get there. Shaykh Kazi Ashiq is very good for getting the community organized across Palestine. We've had larger organizations here in Pakistan, and they've been quite silent in terms of our strategy. So this is something we need to get information.
Thank you. The first part of the question is very relevant to the conversation we're having. And please, if you don't mind saying something. Second part, I would like to respond. But
Look, I completely agree with you, and I think that sometimes in our quest to defend one group who is facing genocide, we can sell out our Uyghur brothers and sisters, our Syrian brothers and sisters, and invite people who've got very disreputable. George Galloway is one of them. You know, if you notice what he said on Russia Today about the Uyghurs, it's disgraceful. He said that, you know, the Uyghur Muslims have never flourished like they flourish today. I mean, it was basically straight out of the Chinese Communist Party. So, you know, to add to Jonathan's point, this is a disreputable person, and we shouldn't invite someone like that, anyone actually from outside your area. You need a good local candidate, someone who's rooted in the community, someone who has contacts with the people in this community, not some superstar from outside who's going to use it for their own egotistical ends and then leave it in tatters. That's what you need. As Jonathan mentioned, I mean, George Galloway was the least to be seen in Parliament during his period of time. In a way, you know, he sent the signal about one man from the Respect Party to do zero. When in reality, Caroline Lucas is an example of one MP who does an extremely great amount in Parliament. She's on the Environment Select Committee. She is able to push the debate along. So it's not about one person in Parliament. It's about how they utilise their time in Parliament. Can I just say something about Gaza very quickly about the campaign? Political campaigns have got to be simple. Political campaigns, they say that you've got 10 seconds to convince a voter on the doorstep before they go back to watching EastEnders or whatever it may be, right? It's a very short period of time, attention you've got to that person. You know, knock on someone's door, and if you say to them, I would like you to vote for X, whoever X is, I would like you to vote for X, who's standing for Parliament, because Rashidara voted against a ceasefire, and that contributed to an additional 10,000 people being killed in Gaza. Are you with me? That's it, right? That's a campaign. People don't think about long lists. People don't read manifestos nowadays. Only people like me and, you know, Ajmal and Jonathan probably, and some of you, I would imagine, read manifestos. They're definitely boring documents, right? They don't know about the party platform of any of the parties, actually. it's about a few things that they pick up. And for us, Gaza is the lightning rod. So of course, there are other issues that any candidate is going to have to campaign for once they're in government. But we've got to think about our campaign and how we convince people to vote in a particular way.
Thank you. If anyone wants to join the WhatsApp group, you come and see Hassan, please, before you go anywhere. Now, the point that you raised, young man, about mosques being a non-political space, and I'm the last person to speak on this topic because I'm very political. I have access to several mosques in this country, and I am very grateful that the community has accepted some of my very political views from the pulpit. I've got to tell you, I've never confused my personal political ambitions with my power and pulpit. Never done it. I've never told anyone to vote for me. I've never told anyone to fund anything for me from the pulpit. However, I've used pulpit to politically educate people, agitate people, and galvanize people and wake them up. That's what pulpit should be, a place of education, inspiration, and mosques in entire Hamlets. How many mosques do we have in entire Hamlets? 53. 53 in the entire borough.
Yeah.
But in this constituency alone, we probably have about 30. 30 mosques. And each of those mosques, if they were to work hard to get 1,000 votes, look at the maths. Each of those mosques, I'm really sorry, I'm not being generous. Eastern Mosque is the largest. I would like to say, if they got 5,000 votes of their followers, Darul Ummah just behind us, equally big, I'll give them 2,500 votes. And then you have got Stepney Green, Jalal Mosque, it's massive, another 2,500 votes. Between three mosques, we already count 10,000 votes. And now you take the remaining 27 mosques and say, please bring 1,000 each. 27,000 plus, that's 47,000 votes. Mushara is defeated already. We are not smart enough to understand the power of all the resources that we have at our disposal. Late Neil Jameson, or a community organizer, he passed away this year. He started organizing in this borough, community organizing, bringing church groups, faith groups, community groups together to agitate the politicians, to get them to respond positively. Phenomenal achievement by organizing themselves. Last question from anybody, and then we've got a couple of things to get you to think of before we leave out, before we invite Shaykh Kazi Ashiq to come and say a few words. Any further questions? Yeah. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. I'm very aware of our time, so I'm going to invite Shaykh Kazi Ashiq to come and say a few words. And I know he's aware of the time as well. Kazi Ashiq, are you ready? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Kazi Ashiq to say a few words.
We begin by thanking Allah Almighty and praising Him and saying salutations and salam to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and all of the prophets, Sayyidina Isa, Prophet Jesus, Moses, and all of the prophets that have come before him. I'm very honored to be invited to speak along these giants, very politically astute, well versed. Our brother Jalal's Thinking Muslim podcast really like sort of, like they say, going to the moon, took to the moon, mashallah, like a lot of traction there. I was actually, I'm following and see the likes of Dr. Muhammad and giants coming along. It's been really inspirational. And of course, the Imam and Masroor and everyone that's a part of this project I'm very humbled to be here with you guys. In terms of what I can add to your ocean of knowledge when it comes to the situation in Gaza and Palestine, the ongoing occupation for 75 plus years, you probably know all of it already. But I just want to reflect upon what one of our students from our Quran Tafsir class just mentioned earlier. He's also very well versed in the recitation of Quran, and he attends this Friday evening class that we have, and we have a lot of young people who gather to reflect on the Quran verses and to express their talent when it comes to melody and voice and so on and so forth. That question I think is very pertinent, and I think it's where a lot of that power of organising lies. And I've actually been very fortunate that I was sent on the 6-day training by my mosque just 2 weeks ago for the community organising with Citizens UK. I just came back, so I'm quite, a lot of these words are ringing bells in my mind, and sort of organising. And Brother Jalal mentioned one of his streets that we're organising in Bedford or something. I think that's a familiar word. I was wondering if you mean organising as in community organising or something else as in organising. I think we need to realise the power that we have within our faith communities, within our sort of smaller communities, pockets that we have scattered around the country, around Europe and around the West. I think there is a lot of power that we can harness there. And we need to realise that for us as Muslims, and I speak from a Muslim perspective because I am an Imam, and I remind my congregation regularly, as I did today in the Friday sermon as well, that Palestinian cause isn't just a political cause, it's a human cause, it's a faith cause, it's a religious cause for us as well, because it's a part of the Quran. There is a chapter in the Quran which starts with Subhanallah, the sanctity and the speciality and the blessings of the blessed land, of the Holy Land, is ingrained within our faith, our aqidah, if you like, as it's part of the Quran. So just like the cause of any oppressed people, because the Quran does also say, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu o you believe kunu qawwamina bil qisti shuhada'a lillah, be of those who be continuously standing with those who are oppressed and stand for justice, be witnesses for people on planet Earth, in this world, in your life. Kunu qawwamina bil qisti shuhada'a lillah comes with a few different variants in the ayat, a few different ayats speak about the idea of standing for the oppressed. So now, this cause, the Palestinian cause, is an ongoing one. Its beginning is before our lifetime for a lot of us. And its ending when we will see the freedom of Palestine. We may not. But the reality is, as people of faith, of conviction, of determination, we need to be willing to be a part of this cause, of this campaign, of this cause of humanity, of justice, of fairness, of freedom, of the right of the people of self-determination, of an end to an occupation, and apartheid and genocide. We need to be willing to be a part of this for a lifetime, while knowing that we may not see the results within a lifetime. It is a very important factor, because a lot of my students and my congregation are young people, and we feel this, this urgency and this pain that we want to see the world changing overnight. But we need to be ready to accept that though we try our best and try our hardest and do the organizing that we can, and campaign politically and organize locally, we need to be willing to accept that this is a long-term campaign. And that istiqamah, that steadfastness, that continuity, that longevity is really what we need to work on, because as we've seen over the past decade, over the past years, this Palestinian cause comes and goes, and whenever it happens, whenever Gaza is being bombed, we're all very much on the front line, we're protesting, we're campaigning, we're lobbying, we're talking about votes and organising the voting, etc. But then, at the end of it, a few months later, that emotion and that sympathy, that empathy, that passion dies down. We need to really work, as you are now, on harnessing this power and this energy that we have within the people who stand for humanity, which is the Palestinian cause, the cause of humanity. We need to really work towards harnessing that and making it continuous, making it ongoing, and I believe, as people of faith, as Muslims, and I come from Muslims because I am, and like I said before, as Muslims, it is something that's a part of our ethos, of our identity, of our understanding of what it means to stand for justice. It's the karma, continuity, carrying on for a long term. If you look at the life of the Prophet Muhammad, the injustice that he had to face, he had to wait for decades. And this is a prophet aided by angels and guided directly by revelation. Even he had to go through persecution and oppression, which knows no bounds, which brings tears to your eyes. And so for us as mere humans, not prophets, living in a foreign, distant land in a place with all of these powers, sort of organized against one small entity, we have to have a level of patience, consistency, and that continuity. Inshallah, God willing. And I pray, and I hope, and I'm optimistic, and I'm positive that Palestine will be free. It will be free, inshallah. It will be free. That is the sunnah and the way of the Almighty. But oppression comes and goes, but it does not last forever. If you look at the likes of the Pharaohs, the Fir'aun, the Qarun, the Nimrod, and so on, they oppressed for a long period of time. In the end, it had to come to it. And so Palestine will be free. Whether we want to be a part of it, that's our choice to make. But if we do make that choice, we have to be ready to be in it for the long run. Inshallah, thank you for the opportunity once again. May Allah accept your event and your attendance and make this successful and make this a means of the contribution to the decolonization and the freedom of Palestine. Ameen. Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much. I like imams like that, short and succinct, and very powerful. Thank you, Shaykh Ashiq, for those powerful words. I know he just come from his Quran class that he was running. He gets hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world joining him online, and he's got a good following, and this is the local mosque. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring our program to an end. But all good things must come to an end, I agree. But this is not something that we want to bring to an end, because the objective hasn't yet been realized. Our collective objective is to see that our campaign, Palestine Information Centre's objective is to provide the material for those campaigns, which will influence, hopefully, freedom to the Palestinians one day, today, tomorrow, one day. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we should not stop. We must continue. And we must continue to see freedom, equality and fairness and justice in all parts of the world. It's not just the Palestinians we are standing for. We stand with the oppressed people of Yemen, who've been subjected to awful plight, while Saudi Arabia and Iran have played ping-pong ball with the lives of the locals. I'm coming. Each and every nation. I went to Rohingya, I saw it with my own eyes. I've never seen human beings coming out of earth barrows. They were burrowing in the earth, like fox and dogs. When I saw that, I couldn't stop crying. Standing for them. Standing for anyone who's oppressed. Because we're human. And we must stand for justice and fairness, regardless. Ladies and gentlemen, Palestine Information Center is just one step in the right direction. In Hamlets, what can you do? You may be thinking, oh, we're too small. We're not small at all. There are three types of people on this earth. First type are those people who watch while things are happening. Second type are those who wonder when things are happening. The third type are those who make things happen. And I believe we are those people who make things happen. And your destiny is not going to be written by somebody else. In fact, God is not writing your destiny either. Because He says, I won't change your destiny unless you change it yourself. So the condition for you and I is that we're going to do something about it. And Palestine Information Center will provide the material, the resources to continue campaigning for the freedom of Palestine. That's one aspect of it. I'm talking about our global one. So ladies and gentlemen, don't give up. Have hope and keep at it. We will be launching a petition very soon, asking the Hamlets Council to adopt a few very important asks that we have made available. I don't have those specifics. I will let you all know. We'll be submitting the petition. We need 10,000 signatures. We need your help to galvanize the community and get those signatures, not of the global community, but of town community. Because your postcode and your voter register will be confirmed by the council before your signature is accepted. If we get 10,000 signatures, we get that motion debated in the council. And we get to present our motion in the council. And part of that motion is going to be for the Palestinian people's freedom, time that should recognize Palestine as an independent state. Well, our demand will be not only to call for a ceasefire, but to end occupation permanently. Our demand will not only be those, but more sustainable, more humane, and things that we believe are so close to our own personal hearts and our own comforts that the Palestinians are being deprived of. So keep your eyes open. We've just received a message from the council saying we're looking at your petition application. Once they've approved it, we'll make it public. To be able to do that, we need your help. So all of you should join the WhatsApp group, especially if you come from towns, because we are going to do localized events to get local people involved, local people empowered, local people galvanized. Ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't very far away from here. At the age of 7, I was brutally assaulted by white thugs. I still remember the feeling of blood pouring out of my face, over my shirt. I was only a 7-year-old child, just around the corner. We have defeated those thugs in many ways than you can imagine. We don't have such racism in our midst anymore. I can come home and I can let my children come home without fearing that they could be attacked because they're black or brown. We have defeated, in many ways, many manifestations of racism. So for us to defeat occupation, for us to defeat oppression, for us to create a space that is free for all, we will defeat those aggressors, those occupiers, and those who are aiders and abettors of genocide. We will. And we will see Palestine through. Now, if you are interested in joining, yes, go ahead. I know you're about to clap. I saw you. Please join everybody. And clap yourself, because it is for our good that we are coming. We are together, right? So if you want to join in, please come and see Hassan. He's got, you've got the QR code ready. All you do is take your camera out, zap and join the group. Get involved, become volunteers, get going, get campaigning, get organized, and go on and get that one candidate that you want who can defeat Rushdar as soon as possible. Good luck tonight, and for the days to come, long live Palestine and free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you to you.